Hi, I'm Carmely Jogo from the movie Sparkle, and you're watching The Trudy Haynes Show.
Hello, I'm Trudy Haynes, and welcome to the Trudy Haynes Show. You know, he's probably known as a point or a person of interest to Oprah Winfrey, but to the world, he's kind of known for his positive thinking and information that he passes on, so we're going to hear from Stedman Graham today. Shemaiah Bay, an astrologer, he gets some of his information from the stars up above. We're going to hear from him also. And there's a doctor in the house that says you don't have to drown yourself by drinking too much water. In fact, you can live and drink less. We'll hear from him. There's a lady in the house who says it's time for her to get with the beautiful people, and she wants to share what she did with you. But right now, we're going to share the UAC breakfast, a big success every year. We're going to take you there. It was a success as usual. Some 500 guests attending the annual Urban Affairs Coalition Thank You Breakfast in the Crystal Room at the Wanamaker Building. This is the 43rd anniversary event with the motto, Driving Change from the Ground Up. And just about everyone attending from all walks of administration, business, and community organizations are not only aware of this dynamic nonprofit unit, but are also appreciative of its leader, Charmaine Matlock Turner, President and CEO, who always brings together this strong collective group once a year to pay tribute to UAC, which in turn thanks its sponsors, in the belief that great things happen when people work together. This year, despite a dismal economy, Charmaine is confident.
Diane Melly had a big program last night that included one of my staff members, Arun Prabhakar. The mayor was there. I wanted to be there, but I needed to be here. But but Diane is here today. IBM has been a terrific partner, not only of the breakfast, but really of a lot of the work that we've been doing around closing the digital divide.
Can you concern with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, have a good time. Planting seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic.
Change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall.
One book can make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Welcome. You're watching Astrology with Shemaiah Bay. I want to thank everyone for contacting the Trudy Haynes Show about astrology and me, the whole idea about how astrology affects or influences our behavior. Today's guest is Mr. Derek Pitts. He's the chief astronomer from the Franklin Institute. I know many of you may have been wondering, what's the difference between astronomy and astrology? Today, our guest Derek will explain that to us. Now, here's Derek. It's alleged that ancient astronomers, or they call it ancient astronaut theory, that they sent a satellite up into the galaxy in the Bodas star system. It's alleged something called the Black Knight satellite. Are you familiar with that? And if so, could you speak to that rumor, myth, or whatever that may be?
I did a little bit of research to just check up on the facts about this, and I discovered some really interesting things. I discovered that there was a Black Knight satellite that had been known in the late 1950s, early 1960s. It was a project of the British Space Agency, which really didn't go anywhere. The satellite was never launched because they had trouble getting the rockets to work, so it never really got into orbit, and the whole project was then eventually scrapped. So there was no actual object that was sent into orbit that was then subsequently seen. But, this is a really easy thing to sort of make up a story about, because not everybody has access to information about satellites or can identify them when they see them in the night sky, especially back then when satellites were so new. Everybody was sort of surprised and at the same time frightened and worried about what satellites might be able to do to those of us, here on the Earth. Other countries using satellites against this country. So there was a lot of fear back then about that. But what we since come to understand is that the Black Knight project itself never really got off the ground. Now, as far as the connection to a constellation, Epsilon Boötes, I actually figured out that what they were talking about was a constellation known as Boötes.
Okay.
Boötes, and the
Arcturus?
And yes, that's right. The main star is Arcturus, and that really gave me a tip because it told me that whoever wrote the first article misspelled the name of the constellation. So instead of it being Boötes, it's actually Boötes, and that mistake was never corrected coming down to today. So there is no constellation Boötes. There is a constellation Boötes, but it's one of those constellations that actually has been known for probably something on the order of 3,000 to 5,000 years.
Okay.
So the constellation has been known for a long, long time, but the satellite itself never really made it off the ground.
All right, thank you for that. Also, I'll be remiss with astrology with Shemaiah Bey to ask you, what's your astrology sign?
Well, my astrological sign is Aquarius. Okay. That's just that was the time of year that I was born. Right. But as I said before, astrology is a great belief system, and and it's all about your belief, and it's about faith. And when you have a belief and you have faith, you can't really question that faith or belief. But when you try to apply scientific principles to it, then you run into problems because belief and faith are one thing, and science, in fact, are another thing. And we shouldn't really try to mix those two and try to make them equal in any way. They simply aren't, and that's just the way it is.
Well, one fact here is the key word for Aquarius is I know, and I know that you know your whole astronomy and star piece, so a little bit of blending of fact with belief now.
I just really enjoy being able to understand how the universe works, and I also really want to help people understand how beautiful the universe is as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. We want to thank Derek Pitts for joining us today on Astrology with Shemaiah Bey. If you like Astrology with Shemaiah Bey, feel free to like us on Facebook. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please give us a call at 215-241-8773. And next week, we're going to be coming back with Derek, and we're going to be talking about the whole exploded planet theory, the whole idea of the asteroid belt, just those big rocks between Jupiter and Mars. Until next week, have a great day.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Stedman, a successful author, lecturer, businessman, and motivational speaker, also feels positive about taking our own destiny in our own hands. Maybe we should listen. Well, folks, everybody in this country is concerned about obesity. Everyone's talking about it, including our president and Mrs. Obama. Well, Oprah Winfrey has done a lot of talking about it, and now I've caught up with her friend, Stedman Graham. He's even talking about it. He was in town recently, and here's what he had to say.
I want to get the message out of identity and how important that is, to know who you are and to know who you can be, especially as a people, particularly in the African American culture, where we suffer so much from the lack of identity suffer so much from low self-esteem and a lack of confidence in ourselves a lot of times. We have 57% dropout rates, 50% dropout rates in the urban markets. And we've kind of lost our voice. So we have to keep working. All of us have to keep working to try to figure out who we are, what we can do, who we can be, and so we can maximize our potential as a human being.
Okay, so what are the steps in beginning to find out who you are and what you can be?
Well, the biggest step, and this is the message to the world, is that you have to love yourself. That's really the foundation for growth and development and self-consciousness and also thinking. So how do you take thoughts and information and education and make it relevant to what you love and what you care about? Well, it's really about your talents. You have to love the talent that you have. You have to organize your passions, organize your strengths, organize your creativity, organize all those things that are relevant to your natural abilities. So that becomes your foundation for growing and developing. Otherwise, you turn your power over to the world to define who you are. And they do a pretty good job putting you into a box. In fact, they socially construct a box to make you think that's who you are. So much so you believe it. And then you pass it down after generation after generation. So essentially you have a slave mentality. Because you don't think you can be anything. You don't think you can do anything. You don't think you can create anything. You don't think you can build anything. You don't think you're worth anything.
How do you break that mold if you're born into it? How do you break that mold?
You have to break the thinking that goes with it. It's the thinking. It's the follower mentality. It's the lack of leadership. It's the lack of initiative. It's the lack of having self-value. Self-reliance, which is so much about what the Spalding family and the Spalding descendants talk about, is self-actualization. And as a family, based on our family history, we've always done that. We've had our own businesses. We've, been pretty much self-sufficient in our own communities. We've developed ourselves. We own the largest insurance company in the world. So I mean, we've done a lot to instill that into our families and in our culture. In the African American and our Native American culture, I just think we need to get back to that message to train our young people how to self-actualize their potential based on changing the way they think and feel about themselves, which is the foundation for most people who are stuck in the box.
Stedman was guest speaker for the 30th family reunion of the Benjamin and Edith Spalding Descendants Association, holding its family gathering here in Philadelphia for the first time. Lisa Smith, a Spalding descendant, was host for the event and arranged for this intimate interview for me with Stedman. The Bezeda clan is the story within itself. As one of our leading historical families with some 1,500 living members across the country by birth or marriage, including some famous Philadelphians, like former Congressman George Henry White, who founded Whitesboro in New Jersey, the home of Stedman Graham, and one of the founders of the People's Bank and the Mercy Douglas Hospital. And there's also former Judge Theodore Spalding, who served in the Pennsylvania State Superior Court. Some 300 members attended this anniversary, but the headquarters for the family originated in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the first black-owned insurance company was started and still exists today. How did you get started? I mean, what was your inspiration? Who helped you? Who taught you?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of people to help me. I mean, first of all, my family, my community members.
Which we don't have a lot of today.
Yeah, so, I mean, they raised our community. Everybody raised us.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we had a foundation. And I served in the U.S. Army a number of years. I worked in the prison system 5 years. I've written a number of books, so I evolved. I have a significant person in my life, which is Oprah, who again went through the same process of building value in herself, believing in herself, being able to love herself, care for herself. And so, through all of and she's one mentor. I mean, she's one mentor to me as well as, someone I love and care about. And that's fine. But it was 50 people, it was 100 people, it was 200 people in that support system that help you get where you are and help you to change the way you think so you could be proud of yourself and own your own voice.
You wake up, you're in a dilapidated neighborhood, you don't have a father, perhaps, maybe a mother that goes to work, so you don't see much of her. What happens to you? I mean, you get caught up in that, and so how do you get out of it?
Well, first of all, the result of that is that you're weak. You become a weak person. That means you probably don't have a lot of discipline. You probably haven't learned a lot of discipline. Your habits and goals, you don't know how to achieve them. You don't understand the value of education. And if you do happen to understand the value of education and you are able to set goals and organize your life, then at least you have a chance to get out. Mm-hmm. But in the environment that is socially constructed and sometimes politically constructed to make people think that's who they are, it's designed for failure. So if you're in that environment, your chances of getting out, I mean, this Olympic champion, Gabby, you know, it was a great story. But if she would have stayed in the environment that she was traditionally in and not had the opportunity, success is when preparation meets opportunity. If you don't get the opportunity, if you're not able to train, and a mother spent her last dime on trying to get her training and trying to get her involved in activities that relate to her ability to be a champion today, it's a process. You don't do this stuff because, you know, you don't become great or good because it just happens.
You have to want it.
You have to want it, but you have to have an opportunity. You have to have practice. You have to work on yourself. You have to develop yourself. And so we have to stop, focusing on a race to the bottom in this country and start focusing on a race to the top. See, we go in the reverse. And it's because we don't understand the value of education, the value of information, the value of content, the value of working hard, the values of, understanding who we are and trying to have pride in our own selves. And that's the piece that's missing in our environment. That's what's missing in the environment you were talking about. All those things that add up to what? Assets versus liabilities, positive things versus negative things, good versus bad, weak versus strong. It's all consistent. So if you have more strong things on one side than you have weak things on the other side, you have a better chance of succeeding if you got a stronger foundation, a stronger base, a strong mind, strong information, strong work ethic, strong values, strong talents, strong skills. You have a much better chance to succeed. So it's really a numbers game. So if I put you in an environment where I say, you know what, we're going to have weak schools, we're going to have weak teachers, we're going to have environment's going to be weak, we're going to have basic, lack of services in that community. We're not going to have any programs in that community, no enrichment programs, everything's going to be weak. What's going to happen to you? You're going to be weak. As opposed to developing those strong communities we used to have, which were we had businesses in the communities, we had, enrichment programs in churches, we had Boy Scouts, we had Girl Scouts, we had Boys and Girls Clubs, we had all those things that did what? Added value to our lives so that we can enrich our lives based on those different programs. I was in every program that they had in my community. I had 20 programs, literally, that I was going to, at one time or another, to enhance the value of my development.
I hear you saying a couple of things that maybe those listening can take advantage of. Yeah. One, to want to get out of it. Two, to take advantage of every opportunity and every educational opportunity that you have. It may seem little now, but in the end, it's a value. And three, to join, to pull yourself out of that vacancy, that vacuum.
Every layer means something. Every opportunity, every person in your life connected to who you are means something. Every experience, whether negative or positive, has an influence. Every thought, It's a choice. And so you have to contain your thinking. You have to embellish your thinking. You have to grow your thinking in order for your body and in order for you to be able to make good choices based on your environment, based on your family, based on your socioeconomic status, based on all those things that determine your value, and the company that you keep determine your value. So, that's how you create social economic development, by making good choices every single day based on your value. What do you bring to the table? And for the most part, if you're told that you're not good enough, if you're told not to believe in yourself, if you're told that you're not worthy, that's why we do the family reunion. That's why we do the Spalding Descendant family reunion in the expo, to create value, to organize, to set goals, to give people an opportunity and a platform to showcase their skills and their talents. We do that. We don't ask anybody to do that for us. We organize that. We create that. We raise the money for that. We put on the dinners for that. We put on all of the things that allow us to showcase our own voice. We're not asking asking people to support us and help us who believe in the same cause, but we're not begging people to do that.
I noticed that you're quite concerned about health and a lifestyle.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep yourself in a lifestyle of health?
I work on it. So I have 24 hours, which is the only thing that makes me equal to everybody else. I have 24 hours. So in that 24 hours, I'm going to carve out whatever I need to build value in my own life. I'm going to carve out health. I'm going to carve out a spiritual program. I'm going to carve out time for everything else that I do. I'm going to carve out time for my business. I'm going to carve out time for my relationship. I'm going to carve out time for my family. I'm going to carve out time for whatever I can do. I got one day right now. Every day, I'm going to organize that day and make that day relevant to building value, so the more I have, the more I can give back to each one of those areas. So nutrition and health, it's a leadership issue. You can't do it if you're not healthy. You can't give anything back if you don't create anything. You can't serve anything if you don't you can't serve your family if you don't put your mask on first. You can't do any of that unless you take care of yourself. That's why the investment of self is number one. So if I can get you to believe that you're not worth anything, that you've never done anything, you can never do anything. So I have to change the way you think and feel about yourself in order for you to figure out that you need to focus on you every day to make yourself better. I understand that concept and that philosophy.
You've been all over the world. Have you thought about politics?
No, I've thought about service. I thought about I'm in politics because I'm serving people. I'm trying to teach them how to develop an identity for themselves. There's 6.5 billion people in the world who don't know who they are, who are followers, who do the same thing over and over, stuck in a box. And the educational system teaches them how to memorize and take tests, repeat information back to get labeled with a grade. If I ask them what they learned 2 weeks later, they say, I don't even know what I learned. So you're not even conscious. So to get people to be conscious on their ability to achieve success based on their intellect and their talents and skills, and that's the foundation that we built this country on. You become strong. You become better. You create a better life. You take charge of your own self. You develop. This is an ownership society in the 21st century. We've gone back to that. Now we have to own ourselves, because kids coming out of school, they got to go back home. They don't have a job. The wages are going down. Jobs are being outsourced all over the world. They're competing with people in Latin America, Brazil, India, China for jobs. We have the internet now, which allows us to reach people all over the world. What I'm saying is this. This is what I'm saying. You got to have skills. Where's the skills? So you can't access anything if you don't know anything. So if you're walking down the street and you don't even know how to take care of yourself, you don't know how to pull your pants up, you don't even know how to, you have no vocabulary, you don't know the meaning of any words, and you can just barely read, and you can't figure out any math problems, or you don't understand you have no vision and you have no plan for where you're going to go, you're going to be destroyed. You're destroying yourself. That's self-destruction. As opposed to going to school, finishing school, getting a college education, developing vocational skills, developing specific talents that you can take to a person and say, this is what I want to offer you. This is the service that I provide. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to work for somebody. I'm going to be successful in my field as an expert in my field. Then today in the 21st century, you are part of the weak, the losers. I don't want to say losers, but I'm just saying in the law of the jungle, the saying is only the strong survive. Nobody cares about you being weak. And you can reverse that process. Everybody has the opportunity in America to be strong. It's the greatest country in the world.
So you can't save money? That's easy as pie. Brown bag your lunch instead of going out. $6 save times 5 days a week times 10 years is $21,000. That's a lot of lettuce. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feedthepig.org.
You tell our viewers what exactly your idea is on water infused, like what they should drink.
Yes, well, it turns out you have this very good mechanism for telling you how much to drink, which is your thirst. And thirst is a system that the body developed over millions and millions of years of evolution. All animals have it, and it drives them to seek water because you do lose water through your skin and through your urination each day. As soon as you start to get thirsty, it means that you're very slightly dehydrated, not to the level where you would have any symptoms, just that you would be thirsty would be the only sign of it. At that point, you should drink until you're not thirsty anymore. I think they recommend it because it's a little bit like chicken soup. It might help, it doesn't hurt, so why not take it?
My last question is, so how much water do you drink a day?
I have kidney stones as a problem. So I tend to drink extra amounts of water. I make sure that I get 2 quarts of water in a day, 2 quarts of fluid in a day, because I need to make sure that my urine is at least 2 quarts of urine a day. So I have to take in at least 2 quarts of water, closer to 3.
You know, when you get to the age when you don't want to tell your age because you really look so good despite a recent hip replacement, well, that's the time to throw a beautiful people party. Invite all your gal friends, who, by the way, are also looking good, and they won't tell either. But who cares? It's a good time to forget all your troubles, laugh, and let the world go by for a few hours. Singing and networking, even dancing, sharing the good old times, eating magnificent food, and thanks to your hubby's friends. Just let the world go by and be thankful that we had another year to live the good life with each other. Thankful that we all made it, and grateful for the mercy that we are still upright. Hey folks, we've got some good news for you. The Trudy Haynes Show is now going to be web streaming on lifeandspirit.com every day, 24/7. So I hope you'll be joining us. And on Wednesday nights at 7:30, you'll see the whole show. Be sure to join us. And in the meantime, have a happy holiday.